Welcome back to CLEGG'S Adventures. As you can see, it's been snowy and cold the last week or so, -2 temperature. So I thought we would take this time just to go over some of the more unique things found since starting the CLEGG'S Adventures channel. Let's go in here and check this out. Now this coffee table I built myself to display the CLEGG'S Adventures items. I built it out of cherry and walnut, and I ordered some half-inch tempered glass for the top of it. Let's take this glass off here and we'll go over some of the more unique things. And as you can see, we found quite a few things in the last just 3 years since starting the channel. Let's start with some of these hematite pieces. I find a lot of this stuff. There's a whole little drawer full of it, and every one of these pieces has been rubbed at one point or another with a facet on it, used for pigment or tools. Here's that hematite cone that we just found recently. You can see the scratches and abrasions all over this, rubbed flat on the bottom. And I believe this to be another hematite cone in the making, just not completely rounded yet. See all the little facets that they were trying to get that round. Maybe. And here's a really unique one. It's shaped like a teardrop. When I found this piece, I dropped it and lost it. And I looked and looked for that. And I ended up sifting it again a couple of months later. And this piece here was actually rubbed on some sort of a shaft or something. I'm assuming maybe an arrow shaft, rubbed up and down. Now here's a really odd piece. If you haven't seen this video, I'm still wondering what this is. I have no idea, but it's shaped like a little cone on the front. It's clearly been hand-shaped. But the inside, it's like a white crusty material, and it seems to be coated with something. Does anybody have any idea what that might be? Another unique item is this, what I believe is an arrowhead. I'm not sure. It has the arrowhead shape, but on one side of it, a layer of hematite. I have no idea on that. These are some of the mysteries that still boggle me. Here's that coin we found that was rubbed off on one side, and somebody has put their initials in there. Now it had a little, I assume, a little eyelet there to hang it on, which has been broken off. But they've put their initials in here, and somebody has told me that this was called a love token. I guess it was a thing back in the day. Here's that infantry badge we found when the bird attacked us. Very nice. And here's another odd piece that we just recently found. Now this hole in this piece of bone or antler or whatever it appears to be goes down about, I'd say, an inch or so into this piece. And it seems to have been drilled with a hollow bit because I stuck a needle down in there and there's a high center in the middle of that hole. If anyone knows what this is, please leave a comment. And here's that grinding stone that we pulled out of that fire pit last year. I did a video on this, age it with carbon dating. I actually saved a little bit of the charcoal and put it on that pedestal there. Thought that was cool. Now there are a couple pieces in here that were gifted to me that are very nice. Now this piece is a Cobb's triangular. This piece was found on the banks of the Ohio River near Sardis, Ohio, around the year 1980. My uncle gave me this blade, and it is the finest example I have ever seen of a Cobb's blade. Heavily beveled edge. Along with this drill here that was given to me by my friend Phil in Sistersville. I believe it to be a Dalton remade into a drill, and it is the most delicate drill I have ever seen. Very, very small needle tip on that. I have several drills and awls that have been found here. Here's a Flint Ridge awl with this big knobby end on this. I assume that it was just used by hand like that, along with that little small sewing tool we found shaped like West Virginia. Very cool piece there. Now, I know that not all these knives and projectiles are in the right order, but it's hard to identify some of this stuff when it's very, very sharpened down. Like these points here. You're not going to know what that is. Something sharpened down this far, you're just not going to know what it is. These points have just been used up to nothing. But I try to get them somewhat in order with the older stuff like the big sandies. And all these big sandies that I have found were all within 50 meters of each other in one site. Along with this big giant, what I believe is a Kirk corner notch made of Flint Ridge. That little Ohio lancelet we found just laying on the surface. Very nice piece. Some of our bird points or bow and arrow points. This is a very, very nice one right here. Super piece, very, very well made. Along with these triangles, so this is probably the nicest triangle that I've found right here. Laying flat out in the sand across from Sistersville. And here's the nicest bow and arrow point I have ever found. I made a necklace out of it, so I know some people were going to give me the devil for that, but I don't care. I love this thing. It's Flint Ridge, and you can see me find this on video, find of the year. Very nice one. And here's a couple of small pestles I found. And you can see with this one, we found not too long ago, maybe a year ago, when that rabid raccoon was after us. You can see these little peck marks on the side. Plus, it's all crunched up on the end, where they must have been using it inside of like a small nutting stone like this, crunching up shell to put in pottery. And what I'm thinking is these little beat up places on the side, where when they put the shell in there, if it was too big to fit in that hole, they had to bust it up into pieces first so it would go in the hole and then grind it up. Just a theory of mine, but it does make sense why it would have those beating marks on the side and not just on the end. And here we have a few hematite celts in different stages of the making. Here's one that was pecked into shape, but not yet refined down. Here's another one that was polished a little bit and started, but just not quite finished. And then you have this one that was finished, and you can see the bit on that. That's a very cool piece there. Along with that one we just found recently. Another little nice hematite piece. Very nice bit. Here's that celt that was just sifted a couple videos ago. Some people said this is an adze, but I don't know. You know, a celt would have been used more of a hatchet. An adze, they probably would have put it in there like this as a, maybe a carving tool. Dig out a canoe or something. And here's a grinding stone I want you to look at. Look how they have got this thing wallered out. Now, I don't know, they must have been sharpening bone awls or something on this, maybe. Look at the groove they've rubbed in that. That was used for a very, very long time. Here's a few of my nicer scrapers. We just recently found this one, this blunted piece. This was found in a creek a couple years ago. Here's that gun flint that we just recently found, that dark one. Along with that one we rinsed out with a bucket that still has the scorch mark right there on it. You can still see that scorched mark. Here's that nice blade we just found, made out of Crooksville chert. You can see it a lot better with this camera. Along with some of the nicer points. Here's a nice little Flint Ridge bow and arrow point. Now this is one of the nicest Jack's Reef corner notches that I've ever found. Just perfect shape. That has been resharpened a little bit. Found that laying in some tree roots on the riverbank. Always check them tree roots. There's a nice Hopewell point. Very nice one. Along with that Adena point we just recently found. Here's a beautiful pentagonal knife. Very nice pentagonal shape on that. And I'm going to make a special case for these. Since I don't have any room in here, I'm running out of room in that table. But here's those stone balls we pulled out. Here's that granite one. Very nice. Along with that busted one. It did not bust anymore. I just tried to be careful with it. And it's still holding together. Here's that flintlock gun barrel we sifted out down at the river. 1700s, mid-1700s, I think, is what I was told. Very pitted, but inside, the bore, down and about halfway, is surprisingly smooth. And of course, you don't find all these arrowheads like this without finding a few brokes. And we have several here that we have not found the other half to. But I'm hoping there's another half out there somewhere. Along with all of these nutting stones. I have them here, and I have them over here too. They're a mystery indeed. This is my favorite. It's got 2 nutting holes and a little mortar in the top. Just to prove they're not natural. But like I say, it's getting warmer out, so we'll be back down at the river again this week probably, or next week, because I have a very interesting topic to talk about in my next video. We'll see you soon.